everyone.
Good evening, Shekhar. How are you?
I'm good. Nice to see Devkumada with a similar haircut. So I think it's just kind of a special support through the haircut. And Pinaki, I can see that, and also
Pinaki is having certain halo around it. I don't know. Is that the comical halo or something?
yeah.
So, yeah, please, Shekhar, go on.
Anyway, thank you, Shubir, and thank you, IIT and Department of Design, and like it's kind of quite a exciting move, and it's kind of hope for this community, which is kind of a very strange, funny community, and it is something I don't know. I mean, it's not like saying us and them, but definitely I'll be sharing my journey, and my topic, what I proposed, the eye of a comics camera is like what I thought. I was generally it's kind of not very long, but it's not too short. Like I'm on middle of the road kind of journey. So I really don't know where to start from and where to kind of completely non-narrative manner I'll go. I generally the whole deal is as immediately after my talk, I believe we are getting into panel discussion. So I thought maybe I will touch
Small
upon
break also, 15 minutes around.
Yeah. So certain things I will be taking through, which is basically, I always, before I get into it, like, I just wanted to tell you that, today it is a kind of a platform where we're talking about as a serious academics, and which is a tool, like, to bring different experts, and it's a fantastic, affordable, yet very neglected medium of visual narrative than any other is cousins or brothers like animation cinema or larger cinema or interactive media or anything we talk about. Still, this is still more affordable. Like all we need is a handful of paper and pencil or pen or something, and just start doodling out and tell the personal stories, and tell the personal stories always necessarily not have a pressure of making a profit out of it, like, so that is how I discover. But it is a long journey, and I born with a very strange thing in me, recalling from childhood. I was in a way very, very lucky to born in a very big family of uncle and aunts, and it's like quite a, like what we call ekannoborti poribar in Bengali. I don't know what will be the English term. I don't know, 51st or 51 family or something. I don't know. So, so we are speaking in foreign language anyway. So just a small kind of preamble that I had difficulties to read text, whether it's Bengali or English. It doesn't matter, because I'm a very slow reader. I mean, I initially I couldn't figure out, the orientation of the text, and even maybe partly because of the learning alphabets, like that Oyojogar Ashchitere. I think what was more fascinating for me was the snake, which is chasing you, than the remembering the alphabet like a kind of direction and all. So I often used to write it reverse or like mix up, and obviously didn't get good score in the exam. So, and my parents' very futile effort of taking me to an English medium, and I think I didn't get through because I wrote my name like a mirror image, exactly. And I was a left-hander. Then, because I used to eat with left hand, so draw with left hand, and it is kind of because of social pressure saying that you become a right-hander, and both stays, like, some of my close quarters, they are familiar with, so what I'll do is, I think it'll be better way if I take quickly through what I talk about, like every moment I'm looking around, and whether it's photograph, whether it's any particular incident, whether it's a moment, I just try to capture them and try to add my personal narrative into it. So I myself is a camera, and this is what I also tell my students. And this is a camera with an emotion, and then we get the extension of camera. But primarily, we are all the camera, and my camera is little comical camera. And of course, I don't draw any line between comics or animation or or fiction or story or a mathematics book, there is always a story behind it. Like there is always, that is what we're looking for. And I feel that as we start seeing a picture before word comes, and that's how it is. Like all the cave paintings are the testimony of that fast, fast communication through drawings, say emojis or Altamiras, say that 8-leg bison or whatever we talk about. It's all start with that, and then we get lost into the jungle. And I must also acknowledge my institute, National Institute of Design. If it's not there, perhaps, I don't know, I'd have worked as an accounts clerk in some accounts firm and trying to hide some wrong figures to make it look like right. So thanks to that institute, I always cherish. So I'll take all of you through my journey and whatever I got a chance, and thanks to, of course, social media. So I'll take you to my Facebook page, all the posts. It will be also nice to recall. And what I try to interpret in my journey, in a meeting, in a lazy mood, in a anxiety, in certain every moment, it is a manifestation. And that is what I manifest through whatever I have, whether a mobile phone with some digital app using finger, or taking a click of a picture, or with little more elaborate detail of drawing. So this will give more or less my journey so far as a comic camera. So if all good, I can go get into it. Just tell me whether it's visible or not.
Yeah, sure.
Many of you may be familiar with one minute. I think it's my desktop is showing it's not being shared. I don't know why it's saying this.
So are you hitting the share screen button?
Yeah.
Yeah. What is the option it is showing?
Share screen, when I'm getting into, it's going to my this smaller window where it's saying desktop, which is with an exclamatory. Then whiteboard.
Yeah. So you need to click the desktop, then share.
No, desktop, when I'm clicking on allow Zoom to share your screen.
Okay. Are you joining from a MacBook?
Yeah.
Okay. So MacBook would require one additional permission. So you need to go to the settings and.
Yeah, I'm going into settings, security and privacy.
Yeah. So settings, there will be permissions, no?
Yeah.
Yeah. So permissions, you just enable Zoom to share.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. So if you add it to the list,
then
yeah.
I hope it'll work. Yeah. Right. You can see my screen?
Yeah, sure. We can see.
Yeah. You can see my Facebook page?
Right. We can.
Yeah. So let me just go to the fathomless bottom. I don't know when I started Facebook. I think maybe 2007, but mind it, as an animator, I'm not eat up the time. I manage time with frames, not even in seconds. So, but just to kind of touch upon this journey, I have to, but these are, of course, new platform we are all learning and dealing with. So let's say I start from, you know, and what it also does is, for me, is always like looking around, and something draws me, which is kind of not so popular. It is not so highlighted. So what happened time and again, the low lights, which always kind of draw my attention and attraction, and that is what I try to kind of glorify and celebrate and add my layer of text. So I won't go further down. Maybe from here. Yeah, maybe from here. So yeah, let's look at something like that. I mean, I don't know. Perhaps I just draw this in certain conversation about Mickey Mouse versus other stories, like, and here the debate was going on, like, for many history of animation, when we're dealing with, like, one is the Disney as a giant, like, which kind of Mickey Mouse has become such a template. It kind of influence our mind so much. It is embedded like a sticker, so it's become very easy. You ask anyone, whether kids from all across the world, you ask them to draw Mickey Mouse, it's much easier to draw Mickey Mouse than your own character, like that inevitably fall into a template. And this debate was going on, and then there is a talk between the Disney and the European animation, that, okay, independent animation. Then they're talking about Zagreb and all these things. So I think in that forum, I just quickly doodled it. It came just like that, without any meaning. Then I just gave the title called Violins or Violines, like you are violating the lines. Yeah. Because here I'll tell you my earlier days, of course, like many Bengalis, perhaps, and I'm sure every community. But for me, the influence factor, because as I say, in the big family, the best part was getting a lot of gifts as a book. All the local magazines and journals, like Anandamela, and in Anandamela you get to read lot of local and at the same time global comics. And Nirendranath Chakraborty was the editor, I believe, if I'm not wrong. There are also, experts, like, they can always authenticate and correct. But he himself, it seems, was translating directly Tintin from Belgian French to Bengali. And then I grew up, like many other Calcutta kids, as if Tintin is a neighborhood boy. And that is another thought today when you come back to education and design education, and where, as a communication design and love for the comics, I feel that it is very important to look at it, that yes, of course, we need to get exposed. We are anyway exposed to the larger world. Images are influencing us, but let's talk about then how we bring our own character on the plate. Like, who will see this? For whom I'll be doing it. But I always experience in this journey that to survive, we have to take our pragmatic approach. We have to do because boss is always right. But at the same time, there is my diary, which I can keep on doing stuff. And that's why my later days, all this visit to different places, including a visit to this comics residency and a couple of comics festival in Europe, especially. And then what I realized, that comic was never been predominantly our full-time profession. It was always kind of alternative. It is always kind of next to the lines. So those memories are very important, for me, not to forget that. And that's why conversation is very important, what we call adda. That is why we even the violent conversation, debate, fight, and that is something, is not that anything personal. Like, you are expressing your opinion, and then end of the day, you are sharing the cup of tea or coffee, and move on, and you learn from each other. So that is how I feel this very important, that if there is no publisher, never mind, at least I will keep on putting in my notebook, which will reflect through my lines some reference of my journey, some reference of my learning, some kind of acknowledgement of certain other great masters. So Shukumar Ray and Edward Lear and Louis Carroll, all these things comes, and then comes Tintin, and then later came Asterix, which is, and then along with that we get exposed to Noleda, which is little less unknown. I believe that typical a Bengali Dada kind of character who is always faffing and creating a bigger stories. Yeah, something which is in a literary characters like Ghanada, which has never been. I think later some comic book came, but I don't think it is something we can consider as, that's debatable, that we can come later. So this is again from that conversation on comics. I think it was in Fumet, I don't remember exactly, or maybe much later. No, 2014, yeah, it is in some, I think it was in Angulem, most probably. So Mickey, one is the Mickey, if you see violins, and then Mini here, I'm talking about with Mr. Mascara. I don't know. I mean, sometimes the best part in my diary is like, which is my comic camera, is I don't have a client. I'm not working for anyone. I'm doing something else to earn my bread, but comics still remain, and laughing at myself, laughing at the world, looking around, responding, reacting, sometimes balancing, sometimes, ducking. It's like playing a game of football, it's, and I think somewhere my excitement with locomotion movements, because I always feel nothing is static, and what comes is I try to maintain little bit of freezing the motion, like, it's always in movement, like it is always topsy-turvy, restless, upside down situation. So this is, maybe this is something, if you see there is a kind of a antenna, and the skin color is little, face color is little different, maybe this is something you have to deal with, you have to make friendship with your distribution power, which is not there with us. So this kind of random doodle comes, and this is some mug which I was gifted by another friend, but it's not important, it's not part of my presentation here, but Simpson, who can ignore it, like, again, if you look at it, Simpson is again alternative in the field of when we see animated cartoons, but it is mostly talking heads. But when you listen to the conversations, then you understand that the satire is talking about something else, So this is, I find, is another interesting vehicle. I found it is highly animated, quite fun to look at this guy. I mean, I think it was somewhere in one of those Oriental countries. So, and the advantage is today mobile phone is almost like your toolbox, so you can record audio, you can take snaps, you can make a small footage of films, but what you are doing, I think, reflects who you are, a certain spirit of mind, and this is what I decided to do very secretly and quietly. I observe, I just quickly put it down, and doodle it down. It's always a moment of certain mood, but I try to do some portraits in my life sometimes, because I never gone to a formal art college, even though I wanted to go to an art college, because this kind of drawing was my portfolio, and I didn't get a chance to get in. But nevertheless, I think it's in a way good, because the world is now converged. So this is a mood of the rain which is coming, kind of thing, like so. This is something about when you become very important, it's and you don't know, like especially the reality show and all, suddenly you become celebrity, so immediately people will come running and carry you, and the character with the exclamatory and question mark, what we talk about the emnata, or the symbolic representation, like, I don't know the history of exclamatory or question mark. Maybe someone can add that thing to me. But we draw question mark and exclamatory, how it came, I also look for that. So this is again a quick doodle. And what I also do sometimes, not necessarily with a purpose, sometimes I get hold of a new pen. Many people do. I mean, it's not only me, I'm sure. Like, you get familiar with your tool. You got a new felt pen, or or fountain pen, or some new brush. You try to get familiar with that. You just do warm up with that. It's because it's a performance. This is I call walk in the line. It is something, my self-portrait. And because I'll tell you the story behind it, my daughter was conversing with, there's a girl who used to come look after her and telling that, next year you will lose your salary because my dad is old and he'll be retiring next year. And I just heard that conversation between them. So I draw myself that this is after retirement. And that girl was kind of very tense and telling my wife that, my God, that Bhaiya will retire next month. He's so old. So so this is something like personal stories which always comes back to me. Because I just try to put, my mole here. I got two mole. One is visible, one is invisible, and I think my one of my eyes little bit zoomed, and another is getting squinting. So caricature is always my cup of language, because as I say that I can't draw portrait. Even if I try to draw portrait, it get distorted. So these are random things I'll get into. It's like maybe some response, some reflections of certain experience of another kind. So maybe this is someone I met who was talking with a lot of hair in the ear, and I just extended it. Like it looks like that the ear is listening to you, kind of thing. So you have the action line, and it is kind of a performance. Like so. This is one work about summer. I think one of the friend in Anand Bajar Patrika, she was working that time, Swati Bhattacharya, Debuda will recall, I'm sure. So she was working there, and she requested me to write something about, it was a scorching summer in Calcutta, I think. Something with, I have to draw some illustration, but I don't remember right now. So. And yes, this is the festival which I got involved with, because drawing was happening for quite some time, distorted drawings and all. That also earned me couple of small feat, like those Hindustan Times and Times of India cartoon contest and all. Then I got a chance to work in Economic Times. I learned a lot there, because my boss in the design department was a my dear fellow, and it was baptism by fire. A lot of slaughtering happened, like the work is being torn apart and thrown it in the garbage, and again I have to redraw and do things better. So these are fantastic. And after that, I got a chance to study in NID in animation department, then worked in the industry for 8 odd years, including going to Bangladesh and being part of the Bangladesh, this training program of this studio, setting it up. That's how the relation with Bangladesh animation thing happened. It is a fond memory. And now Tehsin, definitely I'll be catching him, will definitely bring a kind of furthermore. So again, thanks to Subir for this. So Chitrakatha is an outcome where we felt that let it be a kind of a gathering of every 2 years in NIT, because this is the not only first design school, it is the first animation department in the country which is being set up and created a fantastic culture, which is in a very low light, gave a chance to people like us who never scored more than pass marks in the exam. So from there, this is what happened, like along with teaching, I also started encouraging the students, those who are coming and celebrating certain absurdity, those who are thinking that no, it is not, my drawing is not good, my ideas are not good, to mentor them and saying there is nothing called good and bad. Every child is beautiful, like every drawing is beautiful, but you have to be true to yourself. What you do is your honest and original expression, and that is the best thing in academic scenario of such kind, that you get that breather to experiment, to make mistake, to learn by trial and error. And that is, again, I'm coming back, the beautiful, the ethos of design education, which encourages us that learning by doing. So Chitrakatha started in 2007. People like Prakash Murthy, then Arnab Chaudhuri, really miss him as such a explosive talent. Then Isabel Harguera, that's another great soul. She's still there with us. Brought the courage, and these become a students quite a crazy festival of graphic narrative. It's even though started as an animation festival, it eventually become Festival of Design Stories. So and this poster is designed by one brilliant students and quite a talented animator, Raji Bhai. So I'll just close it because I might skip some of the pictures to move on further. Yeah. Yeah, this is something I just wanted to recall 2014 again. I got a chance to visit a couple of animation festivals and then this Angoulême, the comic center and the city of comics. And that was quite an exciting experience. And I feel a little lament saying when it will happen to our country, when we'll have those Institute of Image, which will give a scholarship for like what long form idea was there in some small limited capacity it initiated, but it needs support of the both public and private collaborations, when it will happen to our country. So that was the experience. And I recall, I just quickly take you through along the memory lane. And after a stopover in Paris, it's some I think restaurant. I was taken by another very grand, dear old friend, George Lacroix, and this is where the it's like a College Street coffee house kind of thing. All the French intellects of Paris used to gather and converse and debate. So I'm not an expert of that. I'm not getting detail into this. What attracted me is the mural in the ceiling here. So colorful, so fascinating. Yet it's most of them are kind of distorted figures, distorted characters. And this is again another thing comes, and this is Georges Lacroix, the father of 3D animation in France, like created a crazy series called Insector. Yeah, and these are the friends in Angoulême in that comic center. Marine Bladin, and he also contributed in the comics, that first volume of long form. And Sebastian, both of them are brilliant comic book soul. So this is another friend, but I'm just telling you that, what was my attraction attracted me is like, Arabian Nights kind of thing, being a comics lover and suddenly being in Angoulême and then looking around everywhere you feel the entire city, which is destroyed in Second World War, is rebuilt with comics. The entire world was demolished, entire city was demolished and by the Germans and the Nazis and then everywhere we go and see that there is comics, there's picture stories, there is illusion, there is the real and unreal is coming together. And imagine it's giving opportunity for so many people to work for, and where the city municipality is coming into the picture, the public, the mayor himself or herself is a connoisseur of this art and aesthetics. So this is, of course, I know it's not easy for us, but it's happening in our country. It will happen maybe sooner or later because we are much more complex, much more diverse. There are different kind of problems, but still, this is somebody who just stuck something on the wall, while you passing by. Just instead of seeing some other graffitis, you see somebody must have doodled something and just stuck it here. That's it, So I find it is quite fascinating. This is the wall of a house, So is there? I mean, this culture also came in Delhi. I've seen that this kind of bigger murals are coming up. But what I'm saying is that the whole city where they celebrate comic, tiny little town. It's not even a city. And there's someone who come and sat and relaxed or maybe in deep thought. On the backdrop, we see this. There is a garbage which is being kept there in a packet or something. But still, what highlights is this. So these are the things that are being covered up. Definitely there is a city system which collect the garbage and take it. But what makes you beautiful is like this kind of graphics, what you get to see. This is if you see that animations culinaries, it is quite crazy title, so something it was kind of always attracting me, the everywhere the celebration of graphic image, everywhere the celebration of graphic image, they're highly animated. They're not static, you know. Yeah, Marin and Sebastian, like, you know, you can see this book. It was getting kind of released, and their Angulum Comics Festival posters, and so yeah, I mean, maybe, you know, it is definitely will be a reality, but something I am still waiting for, and many others I'm sure waiting for. So, so from here I'll just take you to, yeah, and then their center, La Citia, and which is basically I found that. The comics library, and all the events and things are happening, where I also met Amruta that time. Amruta was working for her that grand project. There's a librarian in that comic book. I also try to figure out if there is a job, you know. So even if you become a librarian, you know, you can even don't finish the entire collections there. But this is for me, it's completely Arabian Nights in that those few weeks where I was there. And so yeah, so my point is, it is kind of maybe a little bit of comics karma which took me this kind of experience of giving me the dose of that, keep on doing things. And there are many of them who are not necessarily only doing comics as a full-time um, job. Like, you know, they're definitely into many other things, community service, post as a in a post office, in a hospital, many odd jobs, you know, many odd jobs, babysitting and this and that. So I'm just keeping this journey, and then one friend's house, which has itself is a big collection of libraries, Gian Marco, and that 5 days I stayed with him, and what I got a chance to see the original Leonardo's, the early editions, you know, the big fat books. So that out of 4 days, I think half of the day I spent just going through those books and getting further inspired, saying, my God, I mean, this is what is the actual hard disk of a living mind, you know, like and every moment it's like Hokusai. It reminds you of Hokusai, like, you know, it's only drawing and drawing and drawing. Every moment, every gesture, every experience, every bit of things is only drawing, and no matter whatever those the way you draw, but the important part is you draw. So mm, from here, I'll quickly come back to country, and this is in Ahmedabad. When I was teaching there in our apartment, um, my daughter was a young 5-6 year old that time, 6-7 year old, I think. She was not very happy with the quarter we are staying, because you know that in a public setup sometimes they really don't do the maintenance well. Maybe the fund goes in somewhere else, and so that the house was very kind of dull and damp, and only the structure is beautiful from outside. Inside, definitely there are a lot of dampness. So one of her birthday, I thought we will gift her a surprise, and I painted that small room for her room with a lot of animals. And the lion was a special one because I found there's a regulator, and it will give a interactivity of you twisting the nose of the lion, you know, like, and switch on and off the fan or something. So that resulted into a couple of months excitement for her. She started living in that room, doing her study and all these things. So I feel that, yeah, I mean, you know, this distorted drawing gives at least some audience, you know, some people to that curiosity of that, what makes it interesting, you know. So and that inspired her to get into drawing. And this is the one of the purest form of drawing, when if we go back to our childhood days without any pressure. It is her portrait of her mother, and her grandfather, you know, and herself. So it is from photograph schedule. So these are the things I'm looking at. Yeah, I'm going back little random here. My student days, all the hostel messes are not necessarily give you the healthy food. Not the food is best in terms of its taste and all. And often there are complaints, and I heard a complaint of some found a cockroach, some found a rat, some found this thing. So I said that it's kind of a French delicacy because you also get frogs and other stuff. And so this is my interpretation of how to appreciate the bad mess food. Our student is mesmerizing moments. That is what I titled here. And just some quick lazy lines, and I highlight this frog and couple of other stuffs. So and then mobile phone was coming slowly but surely, and everybody was talking on mobile. So I thought that, okay, let me celebrate that. And title was too much of mobile, too much of static, too much of blah blah, too much of nothingness. So the mobile phone is somewhere is also, my statement was making us static. We are not really mobile. So this is what I play with, and it's in the aircraft, on the scooter, and like this is a very common scene in Ahmedabad. Shubir might recall that this is like sticking the leg out, but still you are stuck on the mobile. You will be talking, and no accident, no problem. It's such a skill, it's and then men at work, like I put it mobile at work, like so these are the random things. From here, this is one of the nervous moment of that 2015, another Chitrakatha. How can I do it? There is no budget. Institute always say that, we never had money for this kind of thing and all. So this is one of the moment I break myself into kind of two pieces. And cow is my mascot. I had a nightmarish experience last evening, but fear not, cow is strong. So it's something I just put it together, because we have a community, we have a community and many more. I know that there is a Chitrakatha fan club, unregistered. So that is what keeps us moving. And there is one story I just want to tell, like again, day-to-day life. This is with the brush pen, the Japanese FP10 Pentel brush pen, and on some yellow cartridge paper it was lying. And often I'll tell you, I tell everyone, including my students, that I try to not to buy new stuff. During vacation, students, when they leave their hostel rooms, they dump a lot of stuff in the dustbin, and I freeze through, and you find you amazing unused sketchbook, half-used color boxes, and many other tools, and it's amazing. They don't claim it back because they just dump it, because it's easy. You buy a new stuff, like so this, I think this sketchbook was outcome. And NID Ahmedabad, they had that nice printing studio where they do the spiral binding stuff and all these things. So this is related to the snoring, because my family always complained that, and I'm sure everybody snores. Everybody has their personal snoring story, snoring narrative. So I thought, let me put up, and my wife's family, they're, I think, a little bit of adventurous kind. They talk about, like, all this Chader Pahar and all Bengalis conquered the world. They went to Africa, they went to top of the mountain, they encounter ferocious creatures. So one day, my daughter, and she is telling that, somewhere there is a danger ahead, and there are some skulls and everything is lying. There is a roaring sound is coming, and the title, it calls a very ferocious domestic animal. So and then it is in our faculty quarter. They're climbing up. There is a suspense, and then say attack. Turning back, and then they discover it is me who is kind of the most ferocious domestic animal. So this is again, like, and everybody sleep, instead of side pillow, now it's replaced with mobile phone. So I just put this subtle detail into this drawing. So, and yes, I don't mind, being part of this whole story, because as I said that, like laughing at oneself is also very important. And yeah, from there, sometimes um, helping daughter for her school homework, and that's also a nice practice. And I also propose the school, why don't you, it's not a good print, but it is like our helpers, celebrating our helpers, making a poster. So we said that, oh, why not you create a special set of publication where school can distribute among the students. It was a Catholic school, Mount Carmel, and you have a fund. Why don't you, and digital print is so easy, why don't you do something with the local helpers, so the students, kids can relate, instead of looking at a helper who is look like typically an American costume or different kind of gear, which is not very often visible. And our children are always seeing, we always see the foreign image again and again. And that's why our costume become something else, our structure become something else, not our structure. So this is, again, I feel that, every moment getting an opportunity to celebrate my distorted drawing, I love to do that. So, and there is in between one tribute of getting a chance to go to Tintin Museum. So Haj and Tintin, as I told you, always stays in the heart with Bengali boy, but later, of course, it become more politically complex. I'm not getting into that detail. This is another story of my Anand Bajar days, but this came as a surprise. This is a stray dog, which was my neighborhood dog during my student days. I was really fell ill after eating bad mess food, and of course, a different kind of work schedule, like nocturnal work culture and all, which is very common and universal during student days. I started, I had to take a semester off. I was in Calcutta in my house, looking through my window, and there's a neighborhood dog, a stray dog. And his owner was a local tailor. And this dog I found is quite intelligent dog, according to my observation and understanding. And then I started relating myself, my alter ego, as a stray dog. And then I did a series of this kind of strip in my notebook, as a practice, hoping that maybe I'll pitch it as my graduation project someday. And then nothing happened. It was 1993. 2003, I got a kind of communication from Anand Bajar through a common friend that they want to publish a local comic strip. So there are certain other people also submitted their ideas. I also submitted this. And then it started getting published for every Sunday. And it ran for almost 12 years, every Sunday. So these become a nice memory, because I used to get response from the readers. Sometimes they will also tell you that, okay, what you actually did in the last issue, it is little not right, you used the wrong term and this and that. So all these things is kind of add quite a bit of value to that. So from here, yeah, it is, my father was not really well, and suffering quite a bit. And then different, every household again experience I believe it's universal, it's across the world. Only thing that type and pattern varies, but it's like when somebody is getting kind of complex, especially the old people, like, or somebody getting to complex disease and all. So you've gone through like so many different kind of doctors and tests, and along with that insurance and this and that, different opinions and advice. So then eventually I kind of cracked it, like, it's a different kind of vampire story, that different pathological tests and this and that. So it starts with a simple uh, blood test, like, so the character comes and saying easy, and this is maybe my dad, and then got the report, and then comes the further testing, like taking more blood out, and then eventually you completely disappeared, all the blood goes out of the body. So from bank, from moral police, from fundamental ideas, all things I just added. So eventually you disappear anyway. So this is one a personal note, I just expressed it, but I generally don't talk about it. But since I got a chance to talk about myself as a comics camera, I thought, why not sharing stories? Yeah, yeah, Shubir. Subir, you said something?
No, no, nothing. Please carry on.
Okay. Okay, now another project which is not getting over. It is my version of Bitpurush, Tagore's Bitpurush, which I started in '99. So this is a couple of doodles again that what is the whole idea of Bitpurush? That is, I'm still trying to figure it out. Whether at all eventually it will be Bitpurush or not. So since 1999, trying to tame this horse, and that was a post kind of I shared with. And also the idea is because you know that this gives a nice feeling at times that many of your friends whom you're not able to meet physically, and even the young ones and the students, they always feel, I can tell you, very excited that what I tell Subir and other friends here, that no matter whatever you become in the journey, but the practice is very important. And that is unlike the Western school of design or technology or art or whatever. The professor in practice is very important. That teacher also has to practice, and that practice is not necessarily a commercial practice, and you're free to do and celebrate your sketchbook. This is my tribute to Charlie's Hebdo, and some character came and killed Charlie Chaplin, so and still Charlie is laughing like fanatically. What a fool! Ho, 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 ho. So the laughter never dies. That is the message. So I gave it a title, Nothing to Say. It is a strange fellow feeling everybody gone through in that kind of moment. And this is another one. I think it is quite a frustrated state of mind. I just came up with that word, the line that Shapir Pachpa in Bengali we use. That it's like you become overconfident. So I wanted to make it like suddenly it can. What if elephant got 5 legs? So one of the trunk become the leg. So I create kind of illusion in my hand, and it is left hand free flowing drawing with a sketch pen. So. From here also my animators, this thing comes, and often in the class I quickly doodle it out and feedback for Shivali. It's basically the students who struggle with some ideas of their visualizations and all the storyboards or whatever, just quickly doodle it out and tell them that how you can go, and then how the panoramic view can come, how the evil can come on top of the protagonist. So right now I don't clearly remember, but it is like come like this. And in this comment, if you look, it's also become, and that is another question in pandemic situation, when online become a most powerful platform for education and meeting people I like to meet and enrich myself. Then what will be the challenge? What will be the attraction point of a physical infrastructure? So these once I put, this is another student of yesteryears, Priyankar. He posted that I also gave him a similar feedback for his project, like certain steps of the movements and this and that, and this is his drawing of the bird, and I told him how importantly to do simplification, so you can do more economical animation, because for us, country like us, we can afford to do costly animation, but effective animation to convey your idea, and almost no animation. And then it means no animation means what Japanese shown us, right? The anime, like moving storyboard. And this both end now come together. It's like I just quote Norman McLaren here, another great Bible for animation students or graphic storytelling students, maybe more into animation students, pioneer in experimental cinema also. Norman McLaren is talking about that, the whole important part is the arrested movement. It's like how a good sports photographer captured the movement. Like you get the high points. So that the excitement so well one particular picture is good enough. And then it communicates so universally, you don't need to add anything. You don't need to add extra movement, no color, no background, no music, nothing. And that is very true. And that is, I feel, that giving me the opportunity, and the same opportunity which I might not get if I work in a studio, and a commercial studio for forever. Maybe you can get a financial benefit, but perhaps that is the choice one has to make. And I think I made a kind of choice. So then I call it mind jogging. It is one of the lazy mood thing, because sometimes you encounter a conversation about, like Little Prince, that how much you earn at this age, what is your asset, how much this, how much that. So then I said, okay, while that conversation was going on, someone is whistling, going and dug and found some stumbled upon a box, old box, treasure box, fell down because it's so heavy. So I'm doing also the animators exercise, and then open, and there's an exclamatory, but I didn't reveal. I mentioned that what was the treasure, what was the Gupta Dhan, what was the treasure. So, and these are, I'm telling you, these are all just for fun, just to celebrate. Uh, uh, so this is something about the cockfight rooster who is doing exercise and getting ready of these things, so again, for an animation exercise, just to show it as a demonstration to the students, and with a direct brush, you just kind of, you get familiar with it. And then later, if you get into digital drawing, it really doesn't matter, how, whatever medium you work, your raw experience definitely works. This is, in Bengal is very popular, going to Tarakeshwar, that going to the Shivas, one of the Shivas hub, where all the devotees go, they walk down kilometers, they walk and carry these things. And so I add little bit of coolness into it, Shivratri special, and with a little bit of mobile phone in the hand, sunglass, and also a sneaker, maybe Adidas sneaker, but still it goes on. Only the costume changes, So this is one, and then again Shiva, I love Shiva. That Shiva is one really freaky god, and there is something funny in that. Our mythologies also. That is again growing up in childhood, getting some of those fantastic books about, it was beautiful, and I find them that, come on, they're as if your family members, like you see all of them, but how you interpret is my story, and as long as I'm not hurting anyone, as long as I'm sharing with some like-minded friends with a good humor, is good enough. From here, I'll quickly move on. We are heading towards 4:30. This is one interpretation of the slippery, after these airports look like a five-star hotel, the slippery floors, people are not careful with their mobile phone. So my fear is you always fall down, so this is something I try to get the movement, yeah. And okay, now this is perhaps, like science fiction writers, comic book artists are also visionary. March 3rd, 2015, I call something I call Fluke Part 3. And everybody's wearing masks, but the business goes on, the underhand dealing, that grandmother is giving laddu to the boy, the dog is not going out, so soiled here, the grandmother's laddu is here, someone is trying to get, then you can see that there is a, and then Spider-Man is also spreading the net on these black marketeers, so it just, and this is digital drawing, this is what I did it on Photoshop with Wacom maybe, and little bit of black and white, I feel that it is idea, and I call it now showing mask, yeah. So this is one, and quickly I'll move on before I miss out something. No, not this one. This is something I call introducing something, the 21st century ambition. Yeah, it's like, I want to eat moon. And surprisingly, yesterday I heard that some Chinese astronauts is being sent to get the soil of the moon. I don't know what they will do. Millions of dollars being wasted on that. So this is, I think, that interpretation that I want to eat moon. So this is again, I'm still trying to decode my daughter's first letter to me, she wrote. And as I told you, I love to preserve everything. Like I saw my grandmother preserve everything. And later days, a sari become that blanket. And then later it become handkerchief. Then it become kind of a mat, or a small bag, or then eventually it become a small cloth puppets the children will play with. So this is what it is, like we look at, and then yeah, it is some neighborhood in Calcutta, the Woodstock of Bengal, like the Kitten festival, like there different groups comes and all, like they also celebrate love. So I find it, like it's such a panel, no white comic book panel, like there are two of those they're sages, and with little bit of decoration, some unknown local artist, they just did it because they don't sign here, and then in between there is a message, so it's brilliant, it's kind of so 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 this is going on. And then I'm not a very fitness freak person, so this is another drawing. This person is called I Strongly Feel, and word and image, nothing. It's just, I think one session I was playing with the students saying sometimes it's very important to be silly and stupid. Don't look for meaning and objective in the learning stage, at least. Then this is something I think trying to do some tiger illustrations. Then this is some lawyer or judge saying I disorder. So the toy is broken, maybe a girl child, that daily pollution and all. But I wanted to show you quickly before we are getting late. Yeah, few more those things. And again, digitally, like, whatever brushes and this and that you try to, it's just all exploratory, so I call let it be free, like I was also trying to do this kind of pose, when you lose your body balance and you try to do headstand and all, like, so you get into this. And I think it is uh, dealing with the Bengali tummy, I call pot belly rebels. You have a secret belly button, you push it and you become pot belly rebel. So these are again sequential narrative for me, and as animation and comics together also bring that idea of telling stories in short manner, like ultra short storytelling. And this is giving hope to the downtrodden, saying staying alive, that song, which we may grow up in our teenager days. So this is a drive, to keep hope, like, you have to stay alive. So these guys desperately dancing, which doesn't make any sense here. Yeah. So I call in a strange one-eyed world. From here, this is what I talked about. This is along with that doc comics. Then a couple of authors in Anand Bazar, they felt that we can start a Bengali version of Simpson. So this is the lady of the house, a middle-aged plump lady. She's very intelligent, sharp, always snubbing her husband. And it's a little bit of feminist angle, reversing the patriarchy, and there are families, and everything is being talked about. I'm not getting into single detail of thing because of paucity of time, but this gave me this again ran for almost 12 years in Anand Bazar. It gave me also a opportunity to do a quick exercise of cinematic storytelling, panels and frames in that particular size which is given to you, expressions, and ideas are not necessarily mine. It was collaborative. And I was in Ahmedabad. I was teaching there, so scanning it and sending it every Wednesday or Thursday for Sunday strips. And I think it was quite fun, quite fun, because it also kept my mind moving. And then this is another one, Sunday dog training program. the dog is saying, "Go, master, go," and saying, "Thanks, Tommy." So these are the thoughts. And saying somebody spitting, saying, "Good spitting." Taking note of things. And so this goes on. I never stop it. There is in the institute is an old one. I just use the spelling mistake. I do a lot of spelling mistake in English because I'm a Bengali chap and I studied in a Bengali medium. So there's a confusion about, saying that the word sex needs to be banned online. And then there is a furor among the faculty saying somebody wanted to go to Middlesex University but couldn't access. So I said, ban prawn. Like you can't eat prawn anymore. So this was my, and I remember I shared it with my faculty colleagues, and I hope they took it in a good spirit. So this goes on, and I believe that is what the comic book journey so far. And selfie, yes, another one, like the alien and maybe almost becoming an alien and earthling, taking selfie together, and then long form stories and everything is there. And even the ideas comes, Chitrakatha, that 15, trophy also we try to give title. So this called Honk Your Award, so that is the design, like the horn of the auto rickshaw with a udder of a cow, like you honk. And there is a ceramic students who actually came up with that. And this is for Tahsin. You can recall Rafiqun Navi. We did a very nice session with him. And so like comic book, no, every panel there, between every panel, there's a gutter. And yeah, so it's 4:30. I will stop here with one image, whatever it is, but I think the spirit will go on. Thank you, Subir. I hope I try to make some sense out of this nonsense. And yeah, so comic camera ends here. Yeah.
Thanks, Shekhar. So I think like personally, I would like you to go on for at least a couple of more hours and just see the visuals of whatever you created.
If you give me 5 minutes, thanks for pushing this. I want to show one more thing.
Sure, please. We have a 15-minute break, so
okay.
Probably you can take up some time from there.
I can take 5 more minutes. I'll just want to share the second Chitrakatha 2009. We decided to come up with a comics magazine, like a student's comics magazine. And since the cow is the mascot, and the cow become a Chitrakatha is another story. Maybe some other occasion we can always share. But this cow idea came from Ahmedabad is city of cow. And I remember one dialogue with some Swiss friends who were coming and saying, "My God, there are so many cows on the road." So I told them that cows came before the road, so you can't help, And here, if you touch the cow, you are gone forever. You have to respect them, and you have to bypass the cow and go. And one is city of cow I wanted to celebrate. Second is cow is very effective animal. If nothing goes waste. And the COW, I break it into cinema of wonders, and comics is also personal cinema, so it is only how we are trying to code and decode and express each of our free-flowing ideas. From here, I just wanted to, no, I don't want to go here. I want to, just give me a moment. So these comics, we thought that late NID is the, I'm sure all the institute, but NID has this long tradition of getting so many raw talents across India. And I feel that, maybe it would be nice to put them together. Because 2003, we started a formal comic book course from NID when I was a coordinator in animation department. And then since then this comics culture started evolving. A lot of people got connected. Sarvajit came, Devkumar came, Arijit came, many others like and many others from across the world came and keep on enriching and giving confidence to the students. My proposal was very clear that animation is a costly medium. Before that, yesterday you saw Delvin. He was my ex-student. and you just do the comic book fast, because that is much lesser risk. So this is, can you see this?
Yeah, we can.
So this is what we thought, that let's take comic animation into comics and let's marry them, and let's talk about illustration, comics, mural, graffitis, music, dance, science, art science, physics, chemistry, mathematics, biology. Everything is interrelated. Yeah. Of course, I mean, Dev Kumar, I'll again flatter that he's more from mathematics background, but so do Eisenstein. I'm not really making a big statement, but who stops us to tell stories of different kind? And that is what enriches, I feel, design education. And that is today, as a director of new institute, I think it's a grand opportunity. We can always push and create a further rich platform, like to tell stories of different kind, and from school textbook to PhD document, and in between certain entertainment aspect of it. So this comics we mix with cow become cow mix, and this is the design which is a graphic design student did that time, and cover is designed by me. All the cows are getting mixed, if you see that, in an organic, and this organic kind of thing is a kind of a root, and this root is actually releasing some bubbles which looks like a nada, plop, plop, plop kind of thing. And there is a scientist cow who it's like a lab, the NID kind of institute is like a lab. And this is the template, like it's like fold in. So one side is for the content. And so 2011, we published this, and 2009, Chitrakatha, second edition, we added comics as one of the element. And 2019, last year, we converted as Festival of Design Stories. So, and all of them now running their studios and become entrepreneur and become faculty, become many things, And this was my editorial. I dare to write sometimes wrong English, but yeah. So there are different interviews. Pierre Tome is another great friend. He's the head of illustration department in Hochschule Lausanne Art and Design in Lausanne in Switzerland, and it's a fantastic illustration department. And he's also one of the founding member of Strapazin Comics magazine in Zurich, where I did my residency. So this is his reportage of his days in Ahmedabad, and then different people, and also we celebrate, comics is such a medium, comics is such a term which can't afford to maintain any hierarchy. It is a community of another kind, and it celebrates, I believe, that all the shy ones, those who get a chance to crack jokes without much fear, but respect each other and get confidence that nothing is wrong, And even, like I repeat, every drawing is beautiful, like every child. And this is Sharat Sharma, who also was there for some workshop, and his experience of world comics. Yeah. And the students are given the job of doing the entire these things. So they're all students who become graduate. This is Anirban Ghosh, who is another brilliant talent and fantastic humanist. So this is what this magazine unfortunately published once, and I think I have only one copy, which is kind of collector's item right now for me, my personal collection. But the best part is it happened, and it gave courage to many young minds to take comics as their love, So yeah, so this is the end of my